Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the DialogTech webinar on Google Call Extensions. I'm Jane Intrieri, and I'm the Search Marketing Specialist here at DialogTech, and joining me today is our Solutions Architect, Scott Berry.
Hello.
So just to go over today's agenda, I'm going to start by briefly covering what DialogTech does and dive into some mobile search trends, and then I'll discuss DialogTech's mobile solution for Google Call Extensions. I'm then going to pass the presentation over to Scott Berry, and he'll dive into a live demo of DialogTech's Call Extension solution. So if you don't already know about DialogTech, we are currently the leader in call analytics and automation software with a focus on marketers. We have more than 5,000 customers in more than 35 industries, and you can see on the slide here a few logos of our enterprise and agency customers like CBS, Leapfrog Online, and more. So let's dive in and begin discussing a few mobile search trends and what these trends mean for marketers and how DialogTech can help. So mobile search is continuing to grow each year. You can see on the slide here that 50% of all internet searches now occur on mobile devices, and that number is growing rapidly. Smartphone usage is affecting both organic and paid internet traffic. 42% of organic search visits are now from mobile devices, and 40% of paid search clicks on Google are from mobile devices. So the point I really want to hone in on here is that this audience of mobile searchers is huge. And it's more important now than ever for marketers to find ways to effectively reach this audience and attribute the leads that it generates. So more mobile searches means more inbound calls. Since it's easier for a smartphone user to call a business rather than fill out a web form, calls are on the rise. You can see on the slide here that in 2014, there were 38 billion calls to U.S. businesses from mobile searches alone. And that number is expected to rise to 73 billion by 2018. So thanks to the popularity of smartphones and the incredible rise in the number of phone calls to businesses, call extensions have really become an essential piece of marketing strategy. Call extensions are driving billions of calls each month to businesses, and 70% of searchers have now used a call extension to call a business. Call extensions are also responsible for driving 60% of paid search calls, and what's more is that these ads that display call extensions even see a higher click-through rate, 8% higher click-through rate, so they're working. Since more and more inbound calls are being driven from mobile search, Google has even introduced a new ad format that focuses specifically on driving calls from smartphones. Nearby business ads appear when a searcher uses nearby or near me in their search query. And then the results include an extension for directions and also a call extension so that the searcher can connect in a conversation immediately with the business. And over the past year, Google found that there was a 100% increase in searches that contain the term near me, and 80% of those searches occur on mobile devices. So it's now easy to design bidding strategies based on goals that surround driving calls to your business. And that makes it easier for marketers to maximize the value of every call to your business. And maximizing the value of those calls to your business is really important to sales managers and sales teams in general. 66% of sales managers now rate phone calls as good or excellent leads. You can see on the slide here that they rate phone leads higher than any other lead type, including form fills, an in-person visit, an email lead, and even a paid lead. And the reason sales managers love these leads so much is because they tend to convert to revenue 10 times more than web clicks. So they work. These call extensions are driving leads that turn into revenue. So they're important for businesses to drive more and more of these. So since so many calls and so much revenue are being driven from mobile search and Google call extensions, tracking and attributing these calls to the campaign, the ad, and keyword that drove them is now critical. DialogTech now has a solution for Google call extensions that is helping marketers achieve closed-loop ROI reporting. It helps them prove that their campaigns and Google call extensions specifically are driving leads. So there are several key features that I want to cover about DialogTech's solution for mobile marketers. The first one is that the solution enables marketers to tie every conversation from a call extension back to the right keyword search and ad. Then, this marketer can attribute and get credit for every call extension conversion and sale from search. Third, this tool provides marketers insight and better understanding into the campaigns that are actually driving revenue, and you can use that insight then to drive more sales. So the last thing you can do with this information is cut spend on campaigns that aren't working, on the ones that aren't driving calls and revenue, and use that money on the campaigns that are driving revenue. What also is great about the DialogTech platform is that it also provides the fastest and easiest way to set up call extensions for Google. There is a single sign-on into the DialogTech platform. You provision numbers within our platform for your call extensions. The numbers are automatically sent over to your AdWords account. All you have to do is authorize your AdWords account within the DialogTech portal. All of the reporting is within the DialogTech portal, and there's no need to take a number from DialogTech and manually input it into AdWords. This just eliminates an extra step. It also eliminates the potential for human error. And you'll see how all of this works in a minute when I pass the presentation over to Scott. So the ease of setup is ideal for search marketers like me who manage thousands of ad groups, and it's also ideal for agencies who manage multiple accounts. These workflows take the pain out of what can sometimes be an extremely time-consuming job. DialogTech's mobile solution for Google call extensions also enables marketers to capture invaluable metadata from each caller, like location, phone number, call duration, and more. Marketers can use DialogTech to see the search terms and ad that triggered each call from a Google call extension. They can see geographic location and caller ID from each call. They can see the call center agent, the sales rep, the store, or the dealer who took the call. They can then listen to a recording of every conversation from a Google call extension call for insight, and they can analyze the duration of calls from any source to measure quality. Finally, DialogTech for Google call extensions is just part of our mobile marketing solution. We have a full suite of technologies that work before and during the call to automate, qualify, and route inbound calls, and all the technology that works after the call to track, record, and analyze call quality. And what's great about these tools is that they work for every channel. Any kind of search, whether it's paid or organic, and whether the call happens from the ad, from the call extension, or on the landing page. The technology also works for calls from social, from email, any kind of mobile marketing that you're doing. And DialogTech also integrates our call attribution and caller intent data with the applications that marketers rely on every day, like bid management, CRM, and analytics tools. So I'm going to pass the presentation over to Scott Berry now, and he's going to give a brief demo of DialogTech and our Google call extensions.
All right, thank you, Jane. I'm going to start here on the integrations page from within a DialogTech account, and I'll walk you through authorizing the AdWords account, what the setup and management looks like in the DialogTech platform. Then we can hop back into the presentation and take a look at some of the reporting, the most important part that comes from this application. So if I first go in, this is a one-time thing that you'll need to do. As Jane mentioned, it's single sign-on, and go ahead and click through to authorize my AdWords account. We'll see the screen flip here in just a minute, asking me to allow access and create a new authorization. Really, the only information we need from you to go ahead and authorize your account is the client ID from AdWords, and then whatever Gmail address you're using to actually sign into your AdWords account. So I'm going to start typing my ID here. Head over to the authorization screen. I'm already signed in to Gmail within this browser, so it's just asking me to accept. And in 1 second, we should see that that's all it took. We've now authorized the integration directly into AdWords, giving DialogTech the power to use AdWords' API to pull in information and also assign these call tracking phone numbers. So we'll see that we have no campaigns here. I'll click to add a new campaign. And from this point forward, we're going to be representing the structure of your AdWords account within our platform for the purposes of assigning call tracking numbers. You can see the ID that I'm choosing there in that drop-down. If you're managing multiple clients out of the same DialogTech account and you have an MCC account within AdWords, we can fully support that. You can manage all the clients through the same account on our side or different accounts. We support every way that you're set up. So maybe today I'm interested in assigning call tracking to my campaign number 1 right here. Go ahead and click Save. And just like that, that campaign will be brought into the DialogTech interface and allow you to see all of the ad groups within it to either assign call tracking in bulk or on a one-by-one basis. So I'm going to go ahead and access this campaign now. This does take a couple extra seconds to actually pull in the ad groups since we're communicating with AdWords in real time. But as you can see, I now have pulled up the 2 sample ad groups from this particular campaign. You'll notice this gray color here. It means I do not have call tracking assigned. From here, I can either edit all my ad groups and do this in bulk, very easy to turn on and manage, or maybe I route my campaigns or my ad groups differently based around the products that I'm selling, so I want to enable these all individually. We'll go through this step of enabling one individually. And the first step in this process will be to go ahead and assign a call tracking number that will be used. So one important note is that the DialogTech number will not be the number that people see when they actually click the call extension button and something pops up on their smartphone. What we're doing here is piggybacking off of Google's call tracking, so they'll actually see a Google call tracking number that will route to this DialogTech number that will then route on to the business or end client. The purpose of picking whether you want local, toll-free in this case, is that whatever you choose here will likely be matched on the Google call extension side. So if I wanted a local presence in Chicago and I choose 312, we're going to pull a phone number from 312, and then by extension, you will have a 312 number that shows in your ads within Google searches. Next step in the process is defining where that number needs to route once it hits our platform. We'll do a very simple use case here and just put transfer call. I'll put in a fake number here and advance to the next screen. We can enable our Google Analytics integration here. Most everyone that does call tracking with us will choose to send this data back into analytics. It's obviously a very powerful tool that can be used for digesting not only what happens on your site, but those that convert offline. If you need to purchase any phone number capacity within the account, that'll be the final step here. And I will click Save, and right now on the back end, we're going out to Google and saying, hey, turn on call tracking for this ad group, put a phone number into that ad extension, and then when somebody dials that number or taps the button on their phone, go ahead and route it to this DialogTech number and transfer it on to the end business. You'll notice the color of that ad group changed to green, which means call tracking is now enabled. And that's all you have to do. From this point forward, any calls to that ad group will route over our platform and track at a very granular level. So let's move into the most important part of all of this. We talked about how the management of the phone numbers is very easy, but obviously you'd be implementing this application for the data. So I have a sample of 3 calls up here on the screen, and you'll notice that the first 2 have a lot of keywords listed in our keywords box, and the final one has 1 single keyword. So what's happening here is we're assigning 1 phone number for every single ad group. So the second somebody calls that ad group, we're going to know the exact ad group that drove the call, and through our product linkage with AdWords, know every keyword that lives under that ad group. About 24 to 36 hours after the phone call happens, when Google is actually exposing that conversion data, we can then go back into AdWords and figure out, was it this keyword or that keyword that drove the call? So that third call I have listed there is an example of what your reporting may look like after a 36-hour period, where the top 2 calls are what it would look like immediately. So the reporting will literally get more accurate as you generate it in the future. Some other important notes there, you can see we pull down the match type. The top have 3 different match types since there's so many different keywords, but at the end we've gotten down to a broad match. You can see the number assigned to the ads, the campaign that it came from, and an important metric, the cost per call from this particular keyword. So that's on an individual call-by-call basis. We also will summarize all of this data for you by keyword, so you can, at a very high level, figure out what's driving your calls and how much it's costing you. One important note about this summary reporting too is we're actually combining our on-site call data with our call extension data. So if you use DialogTech's SourceTrack product for people that actually click through to the site and call because of a keyword, and our call extension product for the people that just call directly from the ads, we'll combine all of that into one and allow you to see a metric that we call phone through rate, which is calls divided by total impressions. So it may not make sense to you on the surface to say, well, we're dividing on-site calls based on impressions, but if you think about it, we're just taking the total amount of people that would have seen an ad because of a keyword, and whether they called directly from that ad or clicked through to the site, we want to calculate the amount of calls that were driven by their searches. So you can see an example of that phone through rate here, along with the total cost for all of the calls from that particular keyword, and then cost per click metrics for people just clicking directly through the ad itself. You'll also see that we're representing the keywords, ad groups, campaigns in this report directly from your AdWords interface. So if you make any updates within AdWords to any of those things that I mentioned, you will see that reflected in DialogTech, both in the management and the reporting of the application.
Great, thank you, Scott, and thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions about the DialogTech for Mobile Marketing Solution or Google Call Extensions, visit dialogtech.com or give us a call. Thank you.